Good evening, and first of all, thank you, Synnøve Persson and Roger Jacobsen, for this beautiful opening. My name is Andreas, and as the artistic director at Kirkenes, it's my pleasure to accompany you through this event, which is hosting here at Overlash in collaboration with the Barents Secretariat and the Barents Observer. We are under observation. Thank you all for being with us, and welcome to our Transborder Cafe, Sense and Nonsense of Activism in Art. Before I'm going to welcome our guests to this discussion, I would like to specify some technical details. First of all, don't sit back and relax. Your inputs are more than welcome. Don't hesitate to raise your voice. Nothing is more boring than a question-answer talk on the stage. And I begged my guests not to wait for my questions, but to discuss the matter also between themselves. Besides this, I divide this debate in several small sections, and at the end of each section I will give the microphone to you, the audience, and these sections also open the possibility for more artistic inputs, because among us are not only art historians and curators, but also artists who are dealing with the subject themselves. So whoever feels that he can formulate her or his answer through the medium of art, go ahead. And you see there's a small table in the back. There's a surprise which is involving all of us. My colleague Lene, where's Lene? There's Lene, okay. She will help me to keep the right order for answering your questions or inputs. And you just raise your arm and she will try to give you the mic. Sense and Nonsense of Activism in Art. The title itself might appear like nonsense, because someone might ask how sense and nonsense go together, and if you shouldn't better talk about sense or nonsense of activism in art. But it was my intention to discuss both sides of the coin at the same moment. And first I will try, very briefly, to define what we are talking about. Activism in art is more or less the activist expression of artists, which is also described with terms like action art, activist art, art of angry, protest art, socially engaged art, and others, a terminology which is particularly porous. Let's have a look at some examples around the world, all of them made between 2000 and 2014, with one exception. Kenneth Phillips, 2005. Great Britain. Bradone, Castles Beneath Cities, 2008. He's an American. Carlos Martial, Prodigal Son, 2010, Cuba. Lisa Anna Auerbach, Keep Abortion Legal, 2006, an American artist. The artist collective Swoon, with the Swimming Cities of Serenissima, an art project from Venice, 2009. Well known, Banksy, the Spy Project, Cheltenham, 2014, an artist from the UK. Shang Huang, The Family Tree, in 2000, China. Filippo Minelli, Contradictions, 2010, Italian artist. Elisabeth Haar, Syria Curtain, 2013, Norwegian. The Czech artist, or the collective Stohoven, called Media Reality, 2007. Maybe I should very briefly describe what it's about. You have it on all the television channels all over the world. In the morning, around 7 o'clock, they start to screen webcams. And they hacked this channel from the most favorite Czech television channel 2 and implemented their own version of an atom bomb explosion in the beautiful mountains of Kirkenes. They were threatened with 3 years prison, but later they won the Newcomer Art Prize of the National Gallery in Prague and were set free. 3 years prison in 2007. Anders Synna, Sami artist, with 3 different works, all 2014. He's Swedish. Walter Robinson, Spin, 2007, an American artist. Paris, 2013, Stephen Cohen. The project COK, you can read it as cock. Yangyi, the coal town of Kaikxian, a city which was floated when they built a new dam in China. The Wiener Group, Russia, Decembrist commemoration, Moscow 2008. The last elections in Prague, 2014, and David Czerny, called Middle Finger. And now a work from 1983, which is becoming more and more actual, Elisabeth Haar, Slitte Fraser. Piotr Pawlenski, Svoboda, Freedom, 2014. Maurizio Cattelan, Italian artist, Untitled, 2004. And the French artist GR with Fortaleza in Brazil, 2012. It was not my intention to show you what activism in art is, but I wanted to show you all forms of artistic expression we can find when we deal with this term. And now I would like to welcome our dear guests, who all traveled to Kirkenes to take part in this event. Some of them traveled 6 hours by plane, others 6 hours by car. Some of them from the west to the east of Finnmarken, and others from the east to the west of Europe. Some of them from the very south of Norway, others from the tropics to the Arctic. I think already this mixture sounds promising. My first guest is José Fernández Portal. Please welcome him on stage. José is part of the curatorial team of the 12th Havana Biennale. As the director of the Centro de Desarrollo de las Artes Visuales in Havana, he organized the first and the second Saloon of Contemporary Cuban Art. José has a broad experience in organizing exhibitions involving contemporary Cuban artists both in Cuba and internationally. He took part in an OCA, Office for Contemporary Art, program in Oslo the last 10 days. And I also want to welcome Boris, our translator from English to Russian and English.
I don't speak Spanish.
I don't speak Spanish. Hola.
Jose speaks excellent Russian, actually. You know, people from Cuba speak Russian.
And here comes some water. Jose, you took part in the International Visitor Program at OCA. Did you discover any activism in art in Norway?
I think it is. I'm sorry. It's working. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, is in a week I have an interview with many artists, and about I can't say how many, but it was interesting for me that because I don't know Norway artist before, I don't have any contact. But I think it's something interesting here in the Norway art that maybe for me the way that the Norway artists involving in the public artists, in the activists, is maybe very specific art. I need to know more then, but here is what is it? What is she?
Who?
The name, the lady who Elizabeth. Yes, he met her in Oslo.
Ah, you met her.
Yeah,
Okay.
before I arrived here, and I think it's quite interesting. Quite interesting artist. There, in the first day was Saturday, no, Sunday, last Sunday. Maybe you have to help me with the second name because I know it's Mariam.
Oh, there's a lot of Marias.
No.
It's like in Cuba. We have a lot of.
Sorry. She's an old lady, a sculptor.
Yeah.
She has just to finish the small, bigger sculpture in the park in Oslo.
The Egeberg.
I don't remember the.
But you met a lot of artists and had a
Sorry
tough
for
program.
the names for me.
Okay. I
Quite
think
difficult. Like for you, it's my name. Maybe you can
yeah.
repeat
Absolutely.
again. In my family. My name. Yes.
No worries.
But I think it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe because at the beginning I looking at the Norway art. It's a very cold, maybe, yes, very light, something that. But in the deeper, there's something move, something. Yes, the artist talking about the problem that here are. Yeah, I saw the exhibition for the 2nd century of the Constitution. Yeah. And it's very, for me, it's very strong exhibition.
in the National Museum. Yeah.
Yes, I think maybe for is the what can I say? Is maybe different way or expression, yeah. But maybe for Norwegian people, the Cuban artists are in the first.
Same new.
Yeah, something new is not understanding the first way, but I think the thing is that we need to know more with each other to understand that sometimes we are talking about similar problem in the different contexts.
Was there ever a presentation of Norwegian art in Cuba?
Yes, in the last Biennale was.
The last Biennale was an artist taking part.
Yes, was
Okay, we will talk more about this. The next guest is Andrei Arofiev. Welcome on stage. Andrei is curator and art historian. He worked at the Central Research Institute for Theory and History of Architecture. Later, he was the head of the Contemporary Art Department of Tsaritsny State Museum, and he initiated there the collection of over 2,000 works of contemporary Soviet and Russian art. He's well known in Scandinavia because in Boden, in Sweden, he curated the still ongoing exhibition Pussy Riots and the Cossacks at Havre-magasinet in Boden. Thank you for joining us. Andrei, you bring Russian protest art to another country. I think this is a quite difficult task because you also have to communicate the knowledge about the circumstances, about the social political context connected to the works. How did you expect the reactions of the Swedish visitors, and how difficult was it to explain what the whole thing is about?
Ну, добрый вечер. Во-первых, я извиняюсь, что говорю по-русски.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to apologize for speaking Russian.
No, we don't do this in Kirkenes.
Нет, в Киркенесе так нельзя. Здесь за это не просят прощения.
Но мне кажется, что было важно в этой выставке в Будане показать, что существует не только та Россия, которая сейчас на первых полосах газет и в телевидении, не только та политика, не только тот состав людей, который вот у всех на устах сейчас, но существует другая Россия.
Well, I think the important part about this exhibition in Budan was actually to show that there is a different Russia, not the Russia you see from the front pages of your newspapers or on TV, and you see the same people and the same characters and the same things, but the point is to show the other Russia.
И что эта Россия, она разделяет ценности европейские или, можно сказать, общечеловеческие, и что разделяет они не просто их как-то в каком-то скучном виде, что это Россия, которая умеет веселиться, которая умеет иронически и пародийно разрушать идеологию.
So, and the idea is that this other Russia is actually capable of sharing the same European, or you can say world values, and it doesn't do it in a boring way. It can do it in a very fun way, and sometimes turn it into a parody, but can do it differently.
В общем, мы постарались сделать веселую выставку.
So we tried to make it a fun exhibition.
Ну, например, мы выставили одно скульптурный объект,
For example, we exhibited one sculptural object,
который изображал 4 полицейских,
which showed 4 policemen,
натуральную величину.
like life size.
Они так подставляли руки.
So they were holding their hands like
При этом
this,
находились в таком активном движении.
and they were in an active motion.
И публике предлагалось сесть на эти руки
And the audience was invited to sit on their hands
и почувствовать, что такое, когда вас несут полицейские, вынося из митинга.
and to feel what it's like when you are carried away by the police from a protest activity,
Сделать фотографию,
and have your picture taken.
но при этом не испытать никаких негативных чувств, потому что вас не бьют эти
But at the
скульптурные
same
полицейские.
time, without having any negative feelings, like you're not being beaten or anything or harassed.
Работа называлась «Катание на полиции».
So the work was titled "A Police Ride,"
Новое городское развлечение.
a new city fun.
Okay, thank you very much. My next guest is Elisabeth. Where's Elisabeth? Elisabeth Haar. Welcome on stage. Elisabeth is a textile artist living in Kristiansand. Many of her works reflect the women rights movement. And already in '69, she took part in the Biennale for Experimental Textile in Madrid and Barcelona. Beside her work, she was teaching at different art academies and received numerous art scholarships. And my very personal question is, what was the impulse to become an artist who comments? What was the impulse to become an artist who comments on women and human rights?
Once more, I can't hear you.
What was the impulse to become an artist who is reflecting, yes, for you?
Well, I didn't expect that kind of question. I wanted to be a painter,
Oh,
but my father, he said, you can't support yourself as an artist, so you have to go to a school and be first. You have to go to the school where you husmorskole, housewife school, so that you could. So
Today
that you can
today
get
it's funny,
a
eh? It
good-
wasn't in the time.
Good husband that can support you.
Okay.
And afterwards, you can go to the Kunst- og håndverksskole in Oslo, but only on the textile department. And I had någon minus in textile at the school, so it was very it was the wrong way.
But you made
Yes.
it.
Yes, I made it.
Bo, please join us. Bo Christer Wallström. Welcome. Coming from a town in the south of Norway called Oslo. He's Swedish, but he comes from Oslo. He's a senior advisor at the Norwegian Institute for Art in Public Space called KORO. He worked as a curator in the directing team of Kunsthalle Oslo and was art director for the Kunsthalle in Bergen. And he was an active member of the collective Backdruppen. Beside this, he's fighting for happy salmon. How come?
The question why I did all this?
Yeah,
Or
no,
the
but
last
just the last one. We take the last part.
Yeah, I'm also an artist actually. So that is a performance, the last performance I did with Trine and Mona Solhaug, and it's called Laksespelet, Salmon Play, Allmenningens tragedie, and the Salmon Play is a public tragedy, and it's. When it comes to the political point of view, it's this industry is a tragedy. It's actually we can talk more about it,
Of
but
course.
it also has different way or strategy to communicate this issue and the consequences of that. We was invited to make a site-specific work in north of Norway in a festival. And that municipality was very famous for salmon farming. So we thought that would be perfect to do a salmon play there with the locals, because this issue is actually concerning everyone. It's our common resources. When we said that we wanted to do that, they said that we could do anything but not mention the salmon.
Take the king grab.
Yeah, take the king crab or whatever. And of course that made us not give up the salmon issue. So we came with suggestions and they got censored. We did new suggestion and we kept the salmon issue, even to fly a farmed salmon up on the mountain top with a helicopter, that they could then tell the story of being a farmed salmon and the life of being a farmed salmon. After a while, they started to ask questions, because the sponsor of this festival was the salmon farm, the local salmon farm. So they started to ask questions, actually, what the salmon was going to tell the audience up on this mountain. Then we had enough, so we redrew the project, and the project actually had fundings, a lot of fundings. So the locals didn't want it. We had to do this play actually back to an art institution, and that is not what we wanted to do. We wanted to do it in a public space. So we have to do it in a Kunsthall and in an autonomous space to raise this question. And then it's sadly in a way, because it concerns only the art world then. And it didn't get any consequences. So we're still now trying to get Laksespelet out to be a local spel for Norway every year. So if you want it, you can ask for it.
Ask the fish. Thank you. And as you said, your colleague Trine Falk will come on stage, and Trine chose not to join us on the stage, but she has her own table preparing an interactive game together with all of you. Trine works in the field of stagecraft and experimental theatre. In 1988, she joined the performance collective Backtruppen, which became well known for performances across many genres. And Trine stands behind a large number of theatre and performance productions, which are often connected also to the history of theatre. And before you pack your money, one question appears: how do you seal? We heard already some problems, but how do you seal the role of public theatre institutions when it comes to political theatre in Norway? Yeah.
Very big question, and I have no microphone, so maybe
Where's the public microphone? I think.
I don't need it because I can't answer it actually. I mean the situation or the could you repeat your question please?
You can just answer.
Yeah,
Is there a place for political theatre in the public official theatre world in Norway? No. Thank you. And please, Synnøve, join us on stage. Synnøve is a visual artist and poet, and she was one of the driving forces in the art collective called Masi, which was looking for new expression tools for Sami contemporary art. And now we go back to the 70s, a very interesting time for you, thanks to you. As an activist, you took part in the so-called Alta-conflict, a political controversy in Norway in the late 70s and early 80s concerning the construction of the hydroelectric power plant at the Alta River, here in Finnmarken. And you have been involved in a hunger strike outside the Stortinget, the Norwegian parliament. And later, very later in our time, documents have been declassified that show that the government planned to use military forces as logistical support for police authorities in their effort to stop the protests. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I met Jon Trygve Solbakk and Åge Gaup, your colleagues from this time. And we discussed a lot about the vibe of this time. What did it meant for the Sami community? What did it meant for the time when you started this immense protest action? And I come up with one question. I got answer only from Jon Trygve, but not from Åge Gaup. So I'm going to ask you to get the second answer. Languages change. We are using different terms when it comes to, you can use the headset. I think it's okay. Yeah. No, the small one? Okay, sorry. Languages change when it comes to communicate what is going on in protest forms. Can you imagine that today this kind of activism would be described as terrorism?
Oh, that is very difficult to answer, because sometimes, as in the 79, you come to some place in your life. We did it, many of us, where you just have to do the protest. Mm-hmm. Not thinking about how it will work, you just have to do it. And that was very serious at that time, maybe like life and death for Sami culture. So we just had to make ourselves visible
Mm.
in the Norwegian society.
Mm.
And we had to use those means which we used then. And we succeeded. And 10 years after, the Sami parliament was established in Karasjok, which was one of our demands. Yes, demands. Yes, yes.
Let's start with the first task for you. What do you think? What is the motion? What is the artist's move? To think you all of you. Yeah. What is the inner motion? What is pushing the artists to not to paint birch trees and sunsets, but to go in a completely different direction? I'm not talking about only what you see, but what is moving you to react with the tool, with the expression tool of art.
I dare to answer. I don't know if it's the facet, but I think that one of the reasons that is making me an artist who I think is politically interested is because of me being born in 1945. And I was born in January 1945. And that was just before the war ended. And to grow up in the shadow and the stories about what was happening during the war, and the terror that you had about a new war, and that happened in Korea. And I remember still as a child, I was 5 years old, and I had been to a shop and buying something, I don't remember what, and I remember my dress. It was white with small red stars on, and I was running through the wood, and I was chanting to myself, I am not afraid of the war, I am not afraid of the war. And I was only 5 at that time, and this shadow has been lying over all our generation. But at the same time, when we came to the 60s, and it was an economical uprisal, and at the same time a political bevisstgjøring. When you bevisstgjøring.
Knowledge.
And at the same time, and you got something very new, you know, the youth having suddenly their own culture, and we were very optimistic. So that started it all, and that was, and I think that my generation, because of the terror, or fright of what was going to happen, and of course, as in when the Cuba crisis, where we thought that everybody was going to die, because of that, you had to be responsible in 1968. And that was why we did what we did, and became very political and very interested in not only in items, but we were reading stuff. We were reading Karl Marx, and we were studying stuff, and so we had a kind of a deeper understanding of what was going on, I think.
Tina, you said there's no place for political theater. Why are you doing this?
Well, you asked about the institution.
Yeah.
And who says this is political? Is it political to count your money?
You will tell us in a while.
Yeah, I will tell you in a while what I've been exchanging my fee. The fee I got for being here into crowns.
Change it from Norwegian crowns to Norwegian crowns.
Exchanged it from Norwegian crowns until Norwegian crowns. Coins. And do you know what it costs to exchange 5,000 crowns, kroner, into 5,000 kroner?
16 crowns.
It costs 1,000 kroner, 20% they charge. Okay, we can rest it there and I'll come back to you later.
Okay. About 2 years ago, I was reading, I was reading the book Wendy Guerra wrote, Everyone is Leaving. I don't know if you know this book. A Cuban writer. She's describing this desperate situation. She feels that many young people try to leave Cuba, and she didn't want to do it. She wanted to stay, and she tried to describe why she wanted to stay, and in the end of the book, she's very alone. Is there any movement in the art scene who tries to give a reason to stay? Is there a movement in the art scene which tries to give the artists a reason to stay in Cuba, to stop this development?
It's working. Yes, I think now the artists, the young artists, have some of them, not all, have a reason to stay because they can more open show their work. They can say that there is a protest, yes, have a protest, like Martial, like you presenting, another Cuban artist, performers, or just video artist, different kind of expression, but it's more open, yeah, in that moment. I think it's, if a country is more a little big, more open, and artists can go outside and return to Cuba, is I think the young artists have an opportunity. Yeah, like maybe a hope to think that is the thing will be changing, and they can take part of this
Changes,
more or less. I can say.
We hear the same from Russia. Many artists are leaving the country.
Ну, действительно, многие люди уезжают.
It is true. Many people are leaving.
Но художники как раз последние, кто уезжает.
But actually, the artists are the last ones to leave.
Но действительно, надо сказать, что художники вдруг вот в эти драматические дни и месяцы, которые вот сейчас происходят, в этот момент прямой агрессии на Украину, художники, политические художники, очень активные в России и на Украине, вдруг все замолчали.
But what is interesting that during this dramatic recent month, during this direct aggression against Ukraine, the politically active artists in Russia and Ukraine have suddenly gone silent.
Это новая тема, которую мы еще в нашем кругу не успели обсудить.
And it's a new subject which we haven't been able to discuss it internally so far.
Никто по этому поводу еще не высказался.
And no one has made a public statement about this so far.
Поэтому я вот скажу свои соображения.
So I will only speak about what I think shortly.
Мне кажется, что, во-первых, проблема связана с языком политического искусства.
I think, first of all, the problem is with the language that you use for the political art.
Политическое искусство в основном искусство перформанса.
Because the political art is the art of performance.
То есть искусство
mainly.
Тела, тела обнаженного или тела как-то трансформированного в костюмированного.
So it's an art of your body, whether it's naked or it's in some kind of costume.
Когда художник преображается в некого персонажа странного, пародийного, неожиданного и выступает в некотором персональном спектакле.
So when an artist transforms him or herself into some weird or unusual character and then pretends to be that character.
Если посмотреть на портреты сепаратистов, которые захватили часть украинской территории,
so if we look at the portraits of the separatists that have taken over a part of the Ukrainian territory,
то можно сказать, что эти люди очень похожи на безумных художников.
So you can say that these people look very much like mad artists.
Они тоже очень странно костюмированы, они выглядят безумцами.
So they're also dressed in a very strange way, and they look mad.
Но при этом они пошли еще дальше, чем художники.
But at the same time, they went even further than the artists.
Потому что никогда художник не переступит черту и не станет убивать.
Because the artist will never cross the line and will not start killing others.
А эти художники начали убивать, причем в огромном количестве.
But these artists started to kill, and in very large numbers.
Они, конечно, действуют не по своей воле.
And of course, they are not acting of their own will.
Их вооружает и направляет государство.
So they are armed and they are directed by the state.
И, соответственно, мне думается, что сегодняшняя проблема это то, что государство, российское государство, похитило у художников-перформеров их язык.
So, and I think now the major problem is that the Russian government has actually stolen from the Russian performing artists. The government stole their language from them.
Еще одно у меня есть объяснение. Политическое искусство, как правило, направлено на то, чтобы вызвать партнера, то есть власть, на какой-то диалог.
And I think I also have another explanation, because political art, well, the goal of the political art is to provoke or to call the opposite side to get in dialogue with you.
Это может быть очень жесткий диалог.
It may be a very tough dialogue.
Так как это было, например, с Pussy Riot, когда Pussy Riot выдвинули обвинения против Путина и попали в тюрьму.
Like when it was in the Pussy Riot case, when they accused Putin, and as a result they got into prison.
Но сегодня российская власть себя ведет таким образом, что она вообще не хочет никакого диалога, ни в какой форме.
But now the Russian government behaves in such a way that it doesn't want any dialogue.
Для нее ныне диалог – это форма прикрытия и оттягивания момента, когда реально могут быть остановлены военные действия.
So, because for them now, dialogue is only a way of cover up and delaying until the last moment the situation when it would be possible to stop the military action.
Поэтому художник и потерял возможность выступать сейчас, так мне кажется.
And that's why I think the artists now have lost the opportunity or the possibility to perform.
Any comments from your side? Questions? Let's talk about fish. Why is the fish so important for you? Microphone, please. Now, one can ask, there are so many problems out in this world. Why is someone focusing on fish? And in the end you said fish is a very basic theme.
Can I say just a short comment?
Of course.
Yeah, thank you. We are in Kirkenes now, and everyone knows, but I just still have to remind Christer and other people from the south who might be here that Norway is actually built on fish. The codfish and the stockfish, the dry fish, is what Norwegian civilization is brought up on, and that's during the colonization of northern Norway. You know, Bergen and Trondheim got rich on the fish from the north, so that's one thing that we should just keep in mind when you answer that question.
I work with the public space, and the public space is a political room because it has this diversity and ideal. It should cover everyone. It doesn't. It's mostly economical based. This room is getting more regulated, more controlled, and more privatized, also more commercial. Norway has this mask. Everyone has this now, as he's also talking more about performance, but I think the performance of a nation. You make a face or you make a mask. And Norway has this kind of mask of being so democratic. They also have this nature they think they care for, that it's very common resources, the nature. It is not. I mean, the fish industry makes 40 billion a year, and it owns, of 10 person, owns 70% of this. So it has nothing to do with you. It has no sustainability. It only, the list is so long, but it's a big success monster, and we all just keep this image of Norway up because we don't want to see the reality that it's actually really polluting, poisoning. It's actually a nachspiel that has gone out of control, totally, and it's going to get a lot of consequences. But so it has a lot of layers that is interesting, to take. Also doing a performance about it, just to see that it is actually a theater. Marketing theater that is going on, like the salmon is not pink, it's gray, it's makeup, everything is make-up for you to believe it, and we believe it even if we know about it, we just accept it. I think that is very, very interesting for us who works with performance and all those kind of strategies to kind of work with. That's why I think it's very, very important. And it also is a kind of national symbol. Being wild and fresh like a salmon, I mean, it's sick. It's really sick and really polluted and really, having a really terrible life. So that is the symbol for this country then. And the wild salmon is not there anymore. It's genetically polluted. In a couple of years, we don't have wild salmons. It's only like farm salmon in the rivers. So of course that is like only a few people that is controlling this in this country. So I think that's it's a principle. Yeah.
Elisabeth?
Yes, and I have to say this in Norwegian. Sådan kapitalismen. What he was saying just now, because it is happening everywhere, and if you look about how the farm, under what conditions you are going to farm in this country, further on, for example. Det altså, kapitalismen, dritt og lort. But I wanted to say something to you because I was very provoked by what you said, and I hope that was what you meant. And you say that you said, if I understand you right, you said that the role of the art is not important anymore in this society. Was that what you said?
Нет, я этого не говорил. Я говорил, что язык, конкретный язык искусства современного, язык перформанса дискредитирован сегодняшней политикой.
I didn't say that. What I was saying is that today's the language of today's art, the language of the performance art, has been discredited by the policies or by the politicians or politics.
Ну, могу на историческом примере разъяснить эту идею.
So I can explain this idea by giving you an example from history.
Например, если мы возьмем классицизм или академизм,
If we look at classicism or academism,
то само по себе это явление очень позитивное, и ничего в нем страшного и тоталитарного нету.
so as such, there is nothing wrong with that. It's a positive idea, it's a positive phenomenon, positive concept.
Потому что греческая или римская скульптура, понятно, что это тот корень, на котором выросло европейское искусство.
So because we understand that Greek or Roman sculpture is actually the basis of the European culture.
Но именно этот тип искусства был использован тоталитарными режимами в 20 веке.
But it was exactly this type of art that was used by totalitarian regimes in the 20th century.
И поэтому преступления этого режима тенью легли на это искусство.
So and therefore the crimes of this regime shadowed over this type of art.
И поэтому художники сделали все, чтобы после войны уйти от этого типа искусства.
And therefore, after the war, the artists made a great effort to go away from this type of art.
И сколько прошло времени, вот реально до появления постмодернизма, то есть когда вспомнили о классическом искусстве, постмодернизм появился в конце 80-х годов.
And it was only in the late 1980s when the postmodernism came about, then actually classicism started to be remembered again.
But we shouldn't maybe forget that even these sculptures of the totalitarian systems had been made by artists.
Да, конечно. Но художник тоже может быть соучастником преступления.
Yes, of course, but an artist can also be an accomplice of a crime.
Absolutely. I think right now is a very interesting exhibition in Paris about famous architects involved in building concentration camps and bunkers, and quite shocking to discover the side of famous architects. Let's talk about the role of the media. Today's world is a world where objective information became very rare. Sasa Vucinic, who is running a huge press supporting company, says that more than 85% of the inhabitants of this world have no access to objective informations. Many newspapers are owned by companies, and of course they say what to write. Media do also document what's going on. And media do also misinterpret what they see. And media is also used to make us believe that things happened. Andrei, for instance, you pointed out in your catalogue that the famous Pussy Riot performance actually never took place as we believe that it took place. that it was recorded in 2 different churches, that the music was recorded in a studio, the whole thing was edited, put it on YouTube, and we all thought, wow, brave girls. So both sides are playing with the same tools. So whom should we believe?
Девушки действительно смелые.
But the girls are brave.
Вообще сейчас время женщин.
And now it's actually women's time.
Мужчины делают страшные глупости.
Because men make very silly things.
Но мне кажется, что этот вопрос о взаимоотношении между медиа и искусством действительно очень интересен, потому что художник смотрит обычно в то место, куда не смотрит журналист.
I think this is a very interesting question about the relationship or interaction between the media and the artists, because usually the artists look where the media don't look.
То есть, вот я могу такой пример привести. Фотокорреспондент снимает на презентации новых автомобилей в Москве, снимает эти автомобили, снимает девушек, которые в мини-костюмах, ну, как бы подогревают интерес к этим автомобилям.
So to give you an example, like a photojournalist is taking pictures in Moscow at the presentation of new cars, and these cars are surrounded by beautiful, skimpily clad girls, just to sort of raise more interest to these new cars.
Эти фотографии помещены во всех газетах, журналах, они никого не волнуют.
And these photos make it to all newspapers and to all magazines, but nobody is actually interested. Like they are not touching anyone.
Художник берет фотоаппарат и снимает не девушку, а со стороны девушки снимает публику.
But the artist takes a camera, and he doesn't take a picture of the girl at the background of a car, but he takes a picture of the audience from the girl's position.
Мы видим на первом плане девушку, которая присела в такой какой-то соблазнительной позе.
Oh, he's taken this picture from behind the girl, so we can see that the girl is sort of in some seductive position on the hood of a car.
А напротив мы видим детей или юношей, которые пришли смотреть автомобили и растерянно смотрят на эту девушку, не знаю, что подумать.
Behind the girl, we can see children or young or teenagers who came to see the new cars, and they are sort of at a loss when seeing this girl.
Когда я выставил такую работу в Третьяковской галерее,
so when I made this work public in the Tretyakov gallery,
то две женщины, начальницы в этом музее, директор и главный хранитель, они обе женщины.
Then 2 women, the 2 bosses of the museum, the director and the chief museum keeper.
Пришли и сказали: снимите немедленно, эта работа унижает русскую женщину.
They came to me and said, you have to remove it immediately because it puts down the Russian woman.
Ну вот разница понятна, наверное, нет?
So I think that explains the difference, doesn't it?
I don't know if it does. It was difficult to understand, but that's more like images, like advertising. But I think you were thinking about using media as an instrument, and of course, media has used the art as an instrument for a long time, and still do. You know, they also, decide the language, how you should kind of talk about it. Mostly, if the artist use the media as an instrument that they do, they will always become in a very precious situation, because this is something that media can't handle. Because I have an example, like also I work for Koro Public Art and Uro, and that is we produce temporary project, and in the occasion of this Constitution jubilee this year, we had a few productions that question a lot of Norway's, I will say, shame history. Every country has a shame in history. Because Norway is like the richest country in the world and are this kind of glansbilde. Have this, we are so good. We are unbelievable good. So that, of course, if you want to make a critical perspective about this, then you start to dig in history. And one of the projects is Congo Village. It was called the European Attraction Limited. That I don't know if you know, but this is these two artists reconstructing and reenacting the last celebration of the constitutional law 400 years ago, when Norway then, to celebrate and show their country's success, also built up a Congo village where like 80 African people were living for 5 months, and people came, and the audience, the amount of audience was like 1.4 million. And at that time, that almost is half of the population in Norway. And when they started digging this, they understood that there was very little knowledge about this. There were a lot of people trying to raise this problem before, historicals, but it never kind of was accepted in the public. So they said that they wanted to reenact this and celebrate it in the 200 this year. And to reenact it, then that could mean a lot. Everyone saw that, are you going to put African people in a village today? And then it started a discussion in media. And they used this all the way. And we could also see that there was some interesting perspective in the media, extremely, also worldwide. But the media had the most problem the media has was that this was a bit very, very bad advertising for Norway, because they started to write about it abroad. And the media, actually, I would say that the media was also had a responsibility how this discussion was kind of moving. And I would think that this project is more in the media now than actually as a concrete project. So I think that's a project in Norway that has used the media more than the media could use. There was kind of a battle between media and artists about who is actually going to put the premises for this discussion in the media.
But in the end, countries develop. They go in new directions. People are more aware of this historical problems. And I saw the open call when Fadlabi had the open call to invite people to live in this village, and actually no one wanted to join the project. So in a certain way, it was also showing that we are further in our mentality.
Comment. Actually, that's not true, because I signed up for living in that Congo village, but they never contacted me, and I know other people did as well. So yeah, it's some kind of organization problems they had or something, I don't know.
How was it, Synnøve? Who was mainly doing the documentation in your time of strong protest? Today we live in a time of selfies, and journalists are invited to join actions, but this wasn't the case in the 70s and 80s. Did you have to take care yourself for the right PR?
These actions about the Alta River case, all these actions and demonstrations came as a shock on the Norwegian people because they had never heard about Sami, and they didn't think that Sami were living today. Maybe there was something in the museum. And then we suddenly stood outside the Parliament building in Oslo with our tent in our Sami costumes, and the media came running through 1 week. It was the first case on Dagsrevyen for 1 week. Because even the media did not know the history we were telling, so they were telling our history. So that was a very special demonstration in Norway, in Norwegian history 40 years ago, and I think it was just that it came as a shock on the Norwegian people, and they they were our friends because the police came and arrested us and put us in jail, and people were shouting, "You cannot do this! You cannot do this!" So at last, it was such a pressure on the government, so they had to do something about it, and then the Prime Minister had to come out of the Parliament building and say they would start this work about hva heter utrede? Investigate the Sami rights, which was one of our main demands. So I was just this summer in Colombia at the Poetry Festival, and I was asked to have a speech at the seminar where I was talking about the history of Norway, which is not good. Norway is telling about itself as a democratic, good country in the north, but I have, and my people, we have another history to tell. And the 200 years celebration this year of the Constitution, the 100 years, 100 of those years are the blackest of Sami history, where all these things were done to assimilate us, to make the Sami language disappear, and they tried everything, but they did not succeed. And when I was telling this history in Medellin, people were, because what is Norway telling about itself? So it is important to have some stages to tell. And the Sami media, which story are they telling? The NRK, even if they have which story are they telling? Are they telling a story that suits the big broadcasting company of Norway, or are they telling the story that? So therefore, I think art is very important, because artists can tell another story, and there is one exhibition going on. It's now in Sweden. It is coming to Karasjok later on this year. It was opened in Rovaniemi, the Sami Contemporary exhibition. Because this exhibition is giving another picture of who we are. And that picture, the Sami media is not telling this picture, and definitely not the Norwegian.
Elisabeth?
I think what you said is very important, because art cannot change the world. It is people who can change the world. And it is people who is in movement in some ways that are changing the world. The art can help to change the world and perhaps put another focus on things, tell it in different ways, and modulate. You don't have to have just the slogans. For instance, it was very important, the Sami struggle, that you had the culture and the artists with you to formulate the battle. But the most important was that it was the people who were fighting for the river, for their village. So and that we have to think about when we are artists, that we cannot change the world, and teachers, for instance, cannot change the world, even though they won a strike just now. It is important to remember that it is people. When it is a surge of many people together. And for me it has been very important to connect myself with the women's liberation. But not to speak in the big words, but also to try inside the women's liberations front to tell them about our wonderful women's culture that is in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Trine. I think now we need a benstrak.
Thank you. So yes, this is what was left when I left the bank. So yeah, so I thought my contribution to this little event should be to create some justice, more justice. And I know that my attempt is a very, very small one, and I know that this money cannot help us be equal. But what I would like to do is to try to create a better balance, economic balance in this room. And as you know, I am new in town, I don't live here. So I don't know who is rich, who is poor. And by now you got to know us a little bit, you know, the people up there and myself. And I would need to ask you to help me distribute this money in a just way. So the task is for you to help yourselves grab this money and rearrange them in this room so that we can have a more balanced situation. Is that clear? It's one rule, you know. The thing is how to use money. The way to use money is to spend them. And the rule is that you have to spend this money in this room, in this bar. Okay. But spending in this sense means also to give it away to somebody else that you might know about needs a little bit more money. I guess some of you feel that you have more than enough already, but I'm sure that some of you also feel that you could need some more to make ends meet. So now The rest, if you don't come and pick them, I will take them all back to the bank, keep exchanging them, and they will soon be gone. So this is the moment, and you have 3 minutes now.
Can I have a technical? You talk about needs, and I just got the message that, and I completely forgot, we have smokers between us.
Yeah.
So maybe to think about how to spend your money, which is great. We can have a short break to smoke.
Smoking intermission.
Yep.
Okay,
And
let's
then
do
we have
that, and
7
you can
minutes.
think about how it should be distributed. Did you say anything?
I think that's all cowardly, because you gave us 3 minutes.
Yeah, I did that. Yeah, and then you can smoke afterwards. And then you can go out and buy much more cigarettes. Yeah. Okay, okay, go for it. And these are then buckets, small buckets to fill the money in. So, 1, 2, 3.
So no smoking. Money comes first, please. Jose. You're all invited to take part. We can continue the discussion later. Yeah. You can take part. Yeah, yeah. Elizabeth.
Vi er så snille, så vi tar bare lite grann.
She could make it up with you. She could make it up with you. So you take everything and you take it back in the hotel. This would be the political way. Jose.
Yeah,
You
good with the man also here. The women are taking over totally. It's a new economical world order going on here now.
Can I buy a drink? Можно купить пивец.
Lots of things. No, it's for you.
Glass of wine? White or red?
Easy to spend.
I can go and buy something for you in the bar. Do you want something to drink? Afterwards. Not now.
You can also give him the money.
You should pay your translator. He's doing a great job. I can go and buy something. So you don't drink. What do you want? A beer? Normal beer? Her jobber. Det for deg.
So time is running out now. The rest is going back to the bank.
Okay, there is a
Half
message.
a minute left.
So there is a message from Andre. So he's asking the poorest person in the audience to raise their hand, and he'll get his glass. Or she.
There's one in the back.
Не в той стране вопрос задан. Кто же знает, кто самый бедный? But there is always people who are short of money, right? who could use a little bit extra. So
Okay,
everybody's got enough. It's a rich country.
It seems like that. It seems like it's still a lot of money on the table.
Еще на столе еще много денег.
Does really the bank deserve to have this money back? Is that the way we want to arrange the world? Give the money back to the banks?
You can rechange it.
Don't be shy. It's not a shame to be poor or to be like have a little, too little money for a Saturday night in Kirkenes. More than enough, it said. But enough is also the symbol of the Norwegian crown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, yeah, 4.
You should put the lights out.
2, 1, 0. Wow. Well done. Thank you so much.
10 minutes break. And now you can buy a drink and the taxes go back to the government.